I'm Jack Nichols and welcome to
He's going to break his fifth world title.
Oh, he's done it! And look at these two go! Hoy is going to do it! His first victory!
The World Championship is done.
What a race it's been!
Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome back to Formula Sim Racing's Pro Championship of 2025. After a near month-long summer break after the conclusion of the race in Spielberg allows us to continue to Silverstone, a track enriched in motorsport pride, history, and moments. The former RAF airbase was converted to a racetrack all the way back in 1948 and has hosted many moments ever since, including the first ever race in F1 back in 1950. The reminiscence of that layout is still around 75 years later as the venue is kicking and screaming into the 21st century. Previous round over in Austria saw the first-time championship protagonist did not claim the championship win. Instead of single Canzoniere with the long ball they had, Van der Hudding was the one that became the third different race winner. The long break is a momentum reset, and Silverstone is a fantastic venue to kick us off here in ultimate fashion. Previous race winner Alessandro Maggio had a turbulent season, but it was a crucial win in Silverstone that propelled himself all the way up into championship contention last year, of which he just fell short. A showcase to all the drivers here in the Pro Championship that magic that a win in Silverstone can well and truly be. I am Amir Oates for this broadcast today of FSR Pro. The broadcast director is Patrick Hanco, and joining along my side here in the commentary box is Ryan Ferris. Good afternoon, Ferris. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. As we're looking over through the calendar, it is just a month-long summer break that we've had. Bahrain, Malaysia, and Melbourne was pretty much won by Canzoniere and the championship leader of Istvan Single. And as you can see, Van den Heugen became the first without those two to become the race winner here. But he's still just about 3 points away from Cedric Bell. But it's still pretty comfortable between Istvan and Giuseppe as we head over to round 5. Outside from that, we see George Winter for 5th with Amir Suzy in 6th, Sander Van Leeuwen in 7th, David Ayagan in 8th, Pierce Merriman 9th, and Matteo Biglini in 10th. But looking over for the standings as well, we can see Optimal is just about 34 points clear from Valle in the Teamsto. So again, a very strong showing here, and with all the magic that Silverstone is, it really is anyone's guess as to see who will come out on top here, Ryan.
Yeah, it's pretty much who can beat Single. Obviously, last time it was Van den Heugen, so can he recreate the magic of last time out? But also, obviously, Canzoniere with that first win out in Bahrain, can he try and muster the courage and get another win? It's pretty much who can beat Single this season at the moment.
Indeed. In fact, Single's worst performance so far was only just in Spielberg and back in Bahrain, of which he finished 2nd. And Canzoniere, meanwhile, he's still continuing on for his all-podium run as well. So they're the only two that have not managed to finish outside the podium. But I think Canzoniere was quite close back in Austria, but managed to just hold on to 3rd. I think it was the same with Istvan. But Van den Heugen, again, played a strategy to an absolute T to clinch the win over in Spielberg. And Silverstone will be just about as important, I think, for a strategy, especially whenever you think about qualifying and the dirty air that Silverstone produces. Qualifying and strategy will be all very, very important here.
Yeah, it's generally quite a competitive circuit here in Silverstone. Usually produces a lot of drama and a lot of entertainment over the years. Many different corners all across the circuit, posing many different challenges. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in this qualifying session.
Here we go with Istvan Single now. He's going to exit out through the final corner down to Club, and this is going to be the new international straight, the Hamilton straight. And there we go, going to be going almost flat out down through turn 1 into Abbey, and then keep it up through Farm, and it has to be very, very late onto the brakes down to Village. A bit of the sausage curb there, which some of the drivers will need to avoid. Definitely down for turn 1, going through the loop, need to take through a late apex, which he does, and then completely flat out through Antry. Use a bit of the curb as much as you can to get a straight line speed. Down for the Wellington straight, very, very important there. Brooklands has changed its race back over 2008 with this layout, so it's a lot more tighter now, and it's going around to Loughville. Again, carrying more speed means that you need to just hug it out for the inside. Out from the exit now, and now heading down to the National Straight, which has been the home stretch from 1950 up until 2011. Corpse is going to be either flat out or just a little bit on the brakes depending on what the setups are, so do keep an eye on that, ladies and gentlemen. And then outcoming for Corpse, Maggots, and then Beckett's very notorious, very infamous, one of the most famous sweeping sectors of the track in the racing world at all, out from Chapuis goes. So this is going to be a pretty strong time for Istvan Single, going down for the hand straight, probably one of the most fastest that we'll see, over down through Stowe. It's quite a complex 9-degree right-hander, and then through to Vale, very, very difficult chicane. Probably one of the most difficult that we have on the calendar thus far. And then again, almost flat out down through Club. Susie gets indeed a fastest time. Shingle does go across the line, and it's a 27.2. Very, very well clear. Van den Hunen, he can only do 2.58, but Canzonieri, he has to do a lot to try and match to his championship protagonist, especially for the man that has got 2 race wins and he's only got 1 to his, as he'll be able to go for across the line. It does update, and just about almost beats his teammate in Van der Hudding. Valet 2-3, so it's going to be a pretty good points overall for them, but still pretty good.
Yeah, very, very good lap there from Single. We did see a little bit of opposite lock going through Chapel Curve, so potentially even more time there to find for Single. So I hope for the rest of the competitors' sake that he doesn't manage to find that extra time, because he's already got those 2 attempts in his back pocket, but it's what happens in that second run.
Indeed, Baron will go for across the line. He's going to be one of the few to set his, and through up into 10th he goes. Vincenevich in the MV Conquest just puts himself up into 12th. Kotachville and Soppinen still the only ones yet to have set their times. I think they're still in the garage for the time being. So we've got 14 onto their run now. 5 minutes left to go. Ayagan, Maran, and I think those are the only ones that are just pitting now. So everyone will definitely go for maybe a better run. We'll see with Vincenevich to see what he can do. Personal best through the first 2 sectors. Can he do anything up here in the 3rd sector, I wonder?
It all looks fairly tidy into this final sector. It's just the chicane to go, and through Club he's got obviously personal best to his name at the moment. Across the line, manages to miss out in that final sector.
No, you're right. Indeed, not an improvement at all. 26.1 that final sector was. That really ended his time. Meanwhile, World Championship steward Yuri Kotachville, also in the MV Conquest as well. Gonna see if he can either match Vincenevich or his teammate Protoski up through ahead. Well, we can check drive too. Oh my goodness me, what a tank sniper coming out through Vale. And that will surely, at least it's a time on the board, but it could be something better for himself.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have to go for another run now if he's got everything, enough fuel on board as such to do that run. But on board now with Van den Hudden, he's done a fastest first sector, so he's on for one this time round.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is going to be pretty exciting to see what the Dutchman can do. He's still continuing on from his highs back in Austria, and very good qualifying performance for him. If there's something that he can replicate through today, that'll be pretty swell. I think it was this Svensfinger that got pole position, but he was quite close up through to the field with the Hungarian. But we'll see with Van der Hoodie what he can do. Is it going to be more? It's a personal best on the 2nd sector, but the 1st sector might be enough to get himself up into 2nd, or maybe even take pole. Canzonieri does not improve for the 1st sector himself, but Van Hoodie can displace him of 2nd through the final few corners. Van der Hoodie goes 37.4. He's looking on the board and through a line. Wow! It was enough to get pole position, and just about 2 thousandths off.
About now, can Single do anything on this lap that he's going to be on? Because he's got, where we're looking at Canzonieri right now, who's been slow in the 1st sector, but personal best middle sector. So what can he do here? A very marginal improvement there. Yeah.
It is, but it's just not going to be quite enough. David Ayagan, we usually see the similar drivers locking out through the top 5 at least, but Istvan Single seems to be a man in his own. That's going to make things a lot more difficult if he wants to try and get a race win here in Silverstone. We'll have to see if Ayagan can maybe match him. It might be a bit of a long asp, especially given how technical the track is, but the German driver did indeed pose a career best 6th last time around in Austria, so there is a bit of a possibility he could follow on suit. Of course, he's got the CMT Go team of Marsa, Bill and Miram up there ahead of him, so it's also going to make things a lot more difficult to go up for the field for himself. What he can do through the Vale down to Club. Oh, goodness me. Happy to correct that at the exit of Vale, and it will be an improvement enough. It's not enough. He's still into 8th, but here we go with Istvan Svigel, personal best onto the first sector, but Van der Hooding still holds on to that faster one, but second sector and the third sector might be where it could be. That is very, very precise steering coming out from Tops. He goes.
Yeah, bit of a correction coming out of the Cops. It's all about what you can do from Maggots and Beckett's and through Chapel. Oh, and same again. Loses the back end through Chapel Curve, so he's going to lose a lot of time coming down this back straight. So I can't see, although he did a fast middle sector, it's going to be hard to make back from this.
Yeah, indeed, 37.3. That is 2/10 faster than Van der Hooding, and 2/10 is just all he needs. If it's a scrappy lap, it just needs to be enough to be for Istvan Svigel to take another pole position in his name. Will it be provisional pole for the Hungarian? I think it might be. It is, and that is a purple through the final sector as well. And that has really, really opened the gap between Van der Hooding and Single. It's likely that the Optimal driver might be having another pole position here.
Oh, that was amazing stuff. I don't know how he managed that with 2 moments of opposite lock. You could have thought that was definitely his lap done and dusted, but somehow he managed to muster something to take that pole position.
Cedric Beal, meanwhile, right on board with him. He's going to go through Tops. He's done the personal best through the first sector, as well as his teammate with Marcel. My goodness me, that is Van der Hooding, and he won't be able to improve, I don't think. That is going to be way too much damage for the valet driver. Oh dear.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to get a replay of that, because obviously I'm assuming he must have touched the exit curb coming out of Cops, and that's just spat him off into the barriers on the inside there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that might be for the exit coming out from Cops, as you said. You can't really be much on the curb, otherwise you're going to go completely sideways. I think he just maybe overcorrected or something like that. With Susie, though, oh my goodness me, over through Chapel, that was, I don't think, the line that he was looking for. Not a personal best coming from the second sector himself as well. Canzonieri, the personal best, though, so he's going to try to look to bring his time up a bit quicker. But yeah, indeed, what can the Tunisian do? Through Vale he goes. What we're going to see here. Ooh, and a good improvement there for the third sector, 27.5. Canzonieri, personal best all the way across the board. He's about a 10th off from his team, Van der Hooding. But if he can do anything on the third sector, could be enough to at least bridge it or take second. The valet driver will go for across the line. That's the checker flag dropped. So his sector's over. That's a personal best onto the final sector, but it's not enough. Van der Hooding will just be about ahead of his teammate there.
Yeah, it was fastest final sector there for Canzonieri. So it seems like both cars there have got a good pace coming into this the main race. So I think Single's going to have his work cut out coming into this race here.
Indeed, David Ayagan right on the board with him. That was a personal best. Oh, across the board! And a tech slapper out from Club means that it might have been all lost for him. Yeah, indeed, and I don't think he manages to complete over through that lap. So that is it for qualifying as it stands. As we look over through to the results. Yeah, another pole position there from Istvan Single. Incredibly phenomenal there from the Hungarian. It's, I think, I believe it's his fourth pole position in a row this season thus far. Tradition kept all the way back in Sepang, has continued all the way down here into Silverstone. Van der Hooding, I think this might be one of his best qualified performances, displacing his demon of Canzonieri to just third. So Valet against Optimal there. Anime Swazi over in fourth was the only sole spot into the top 10 with CMT Go team through 5 to 7 with Cedric Beal, Andrei Petovsky also just in the middle of that one, actually managed to prove for the final one, so good for him. Cedric Beal 5th ahead of Andrei Petovsky in 6th for Envy Conquest. Nandor Marsa 7th, Perseus Miram 8th, and David Ayagan, it's up terminal 1-9, so he's got pretty work to do with Jacob Baran and SimSpark over in 10th. Following through outside for the top 10, Juho Sopinen in 11th for Vale with Leila Petali in 12th for Elk, Samuel Tidona 13th, Mihailo Vincenevich 14th, Olivier Demoulins in 15th, and Yuri Katochvel did manage to improve, but he's still in 16th. That was a quite exciting qualifying, I must say.
Certainly, and you know, 2 Valley eSports cars in 2nd and 3rd, and I think Iagan is going to be an interesting driver to see, because it always seemed like in the qualifying he was trying to put on a good show, but he always just seemed to get that final corner a little bit wrong, and that was upsetting his final result. So I think possibly a driver we might see coming through the field, but I think we've got a freeway battle up for the lead today.
Yeah, I think so too. Dire Compounds is going to be all the more not concerning, but I guess at play here for Silverstone, as I think everyone is just going to see what tire compound they will be able to select. You've raced here before, haven't you, Ryan? Or
well, I've not raced at FSR, but I have raced here in other forms of sim racing. Yeah.
Yeah, I take it. I know it's a different language indeed over from your end, having to race in different disciplines. But from as a racing driver perspective, in your eyes, what will be the key thing for these drivers here for today at FSR to really be on the lookout for here?
I think it's pretty much consistency here at Silverstone. You've got to have, you know, you got to have a good understanding of the car and a good balance of the car here at Silverstone. Some of the corners do require a lot of patience. You know, if you get on the throttle a bit too earlier, say at the loop or at Luffield, you're finding your way off track and losing a lot of time. So it's pretty much all about patience and not getting a bit too greedy.
Of course, and I think, as we've mentioned before as well, that final corner down to Vale and Club, but then you've also mentioned the loop as well, down for coming through that first lap. It's a pretty good overtaking opportunity, and again, we have seen the line whenever they take the late apex, but sometimes we'll see defending drivers trying to use that as well, or people conserving their tires as well, hugging that loop and entry because they really want to, because again, Silverstone is a very tire straining circuit, I imagine.
Yeah, it can be, and when you put a bit too much force through those tires, they do go off quite quickly. So it could be a factor in today's race. Tire strategy will probably be at a premium today.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and it's pretty easy as well. Usually in other tracks, it's a bit harder to tell whenever someone's either preserving or being aggressive with the tires. But the thing with Silverstone as well, with the aggression onto the tires, is that it's honestly probably one of the easiest to tell, not only just for the drivers to see what line they're taking, but also for us as commentators as well.
Yeah, and obviously from qualifying, Single's probably going to have to dial it back a little bit, as we saw through Cops and through Maggots and Beckett's. He was definitely taking a lot of liberties, and the tyres were definitely screaming enough. So that's going to put a lot of load and a lot of wear through those high G corners. So yeah, his race pace may differ, or he may find that his tyres, well, he might not have any left to them come the end of the race.
Yeah, that's also that's a good point to mention as well, Ryan. Just waiting for the drivers to finish off for their warm-ups. I think someone had a bit of legacy issues, but I think we should be fine. I think we're still looking at 16 cars here today, as what we imagined from qualifying. As we said, Single still very good performance from him to get his 4th pole position in a row. But again, the last time that he was in pole position, Vandy Hudding beat him to the line to take his first race win. This time, Van der Hudding will be sharing the front row with Single again, so it's gonna be pretty hard to to determine whether that's what's going to come out of this between Single Van der Hoeding. And of course, if these two continue to battle, and we mentioned it before about the tire degradation, then Giuseppe Canzonieri and Suzy are in prime position to take those places.
Indeed, particularly with Canzonieri. Fine with Van den Hudding. I think he's probably going to be pressing hard to try and get through onto Single, because Single's one of those drivers that once he gets into a rhythm, he can just clear off, which is not what Van den Hudding wants to see. So it'll be interesting in the opening laps. He'll be hard pressed to try and get past Single.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely, indeed. Of course, Vale eSports, with their charge up to, trying to maximize through their points that they're getting, 110 points Vale has compared to Optimal with 144. Van der Hoeding and Canzonieri, if they finish the way they are, and Single and Aegon finish the way they do, this will allow for Vale to close that gap between themselves and Optimal. So Isvan Svingel is again, he's done very good to finish no lower than second, and it's helped Optimal's case in this matter. In fact, they haven't actually gotten a double podium since back over in Bahrain, so this is going to be pretty hard for Single to kind of carry Optimal on his own. Of course, Canzonieri and Van der Hoeding have been on equal pace, and they've actually gotten double podiums twice, Sepang and Spielberg to be exact, as well, as you can see at the Pro Championship. So might actually help Vale's case if Canzonieri and Van der Hoeding finish the way they do.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it is for their case. For the team, at least, it's going to be good points. But obviously, they're racers out there, so they're going to be fighting it tooth and nail to try and get that wind off of Single.
Yeah, absolutely. I think MV Conquest as well, I think they haven't really finished no higher than 8th. That was when back in Melbourne, Andrei Bartovsky finished for himself, and then ever since he's been there, he's always been consistently in the top 10. And I think from that qualifier performance that we've seen from him, he was 6th, I believe, which I believe it's one of the highest that we've seen at MV Conquest qualify. So again, there's a chance that every Conquest can put in some good points overall here, but also CMT Go Team with Suzy again just out in 4th, but Cedric Bill, Marsa and Miram would be able to challenge Bartovsky and the Salzbot racing team of Suzy to that places as well. So not only are we going to see, as you mentioned before, a battle between the top 3 between Single, Van der Hoeding and Canzonieri, but I think we're also going to see quite an intense battle in the midfield as well.
Yeah, the midfield has given us quite a good showing all this season, and they pretty much scrap all the way through the points from top to bottom here. So it's they pretty much scrap for the midfield as if it's for a win.
Indeed, and it's always gives a pretty good joy to watch such battles. But quiet look as the drivers are slowly starting through their formation lap. We're going to have a look down through the grid once more before we start to go for lights out. Again, it's Van Single, full pole position in a row. He'll be very happy with that. Van der Hoeding, the Dutchman, over in 2nd. Giuseppe Canzonieri, the 2nd of the Valley, over in 3rd. And Suzy, the sole Salzbot Racing Team driver, will be over in 4th. And look at this, CMT Go Team 5th, 7th, and 8th. It's only Andrei Bartovsky in that in the midst of that CMT Go Team pile. He'll be in 6th. But absolutely incredible from there. David Aegon over in 9th with Jakob Baran. Sol SimSpark Racing team today here in 10th. Juho Sappinen managed to rejoin over for 11th with Leila Petralia in 12th. Over through to 13th, through to 16th, it is Samuel Tedona and Mihailo Vicinevich for 14th, and Oliver de Williams and Yuri Kutachville completes through the field here today. Looking over through the formation lap, we can sort of see that the tyre compounds that they're going for is Van Single, Van der Hoeding and Canzonieri are on the medium compounds, so they really are trying to see if they can maybe gain as many positions as they can. Swazi and Bill, though, directly behind, I think are on the hard compounds.
Yeah, it looks that way. Obviously, the way that the live timing screen goes, I'd wait until they've gridded up, because sometimes there's some sort of weird glitch where the the tyre compounds come through a bit later, but it looks at the moment, yes, mediums most of the way through the field, but a few drivers opting to go for the harder compound and go a bit long into their first stint.
Indeed, going long through to their first stint, but with the positions that Susie and Bill are, if they are on the hard compound, it will mean that they'll have to kind of defend almost for the lines with Bertowski and Co directly behind them. Of course, I think for teams it might be a bit easier knowing that strategy is indeed to play for, and again, the advantage that we've seen back over in Austria with Van der Hooding and Canzonieri is that since they're second and third, they can both go for different strategies or different racing styles. And well, they could just, you know, maybe able to experiment just a bit more than Single can up ahead, as we're waiting for Yiri to be the last car out onto the grid. All right, I think that'll be all the 16 cars going to line up. It's going to be very interesting to see who will come out through on top here in Silverstone. They're waiting for the lights to come up. And the lights are gone, and we're underway here in Silverstone. Pretty good start from Single, just has to hold up from Van der Hooding, which he does so. Swazi manages to overtake Canzonieri. That is incredible there. He'll get up through, up into fourth. Bertowski, though, meanwhile, up ahead, there's a bit of a dust collection in the back. Bertowski trying to pressure to Canzonieri. Canzonieri won't allow for it. And look at this, it's Van Svinkel and Van der Hooding. Van der Hooding has managed to overtake Van Svinkel for the lead. This is incredible. Just coming out through entry now, and they're going to use the slipstream now. Going to be going side by side. And look at this, absolutely incredible what will happen to Van der Hooding. Van der Hooding still manages to defend from Svinkel. Absolutely vital, absolutely important. Canzonieri manages to overtake Swazi though for third, and Andrei Bertowski still manages to hold on to fifth for the time being. What an incredible, wow, that was absolutely incredible there from Van der Hooding to take the lead right away from Single.
Yeah, brilliant few corners there from Van der Hooding. Single's still trying to fight back though. He's lost a couple of car lengths and he's off the track there at Copster Corner, so that's not going to help him try and catch Van der Hooding, but he's going to have to knuckle down and chase after that Valley Esports car.
Indeed, not at all ideal from Single though, as just looking out from across the field. Iagan lost a bit of a place to Baron behind, and Vincenevich, I think Yuka Dutchman managed to gain some places through up to 15th. Vincenevich and Lena Petralia through 15 and 16 there. Looking further down the back though, I think that's Baron trying to have a look and move onto Marsa, but it's not quite working out here. And that one is to Dona, almost having a look and a move onto Dutchman. Doesn't work, spin up with the head. I think that was Baron.
Yeah, Baran spinning off there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate there from Jacob. I think that was a bit on the curb coming through, the grass coming to Vale, I believe, as we're going to have a look onto a board of him. There we go, trying to apply the pressure onto Marsa. Oh, trying to have a look down to the outside. That really wasn't there. And unfortunately, onto the gravel he goes.
Yeah, I think he was just completely wrong-footed there and caught unaware going into the brake zone, but back at the front, still Van den Hooding by 0.6 of a second to Single, so Single still staying within that crucial DRS.
Yep, looking further back though, Juho Soppinen continuing on through his almost charge, going to try to pressure the Mullions as much as he can, and Marsa, Miriam and Bill in 6th, 7th and 8th will be looking to try to defend themselves from Iagan behind. And again, no easy feat at all whenever you have to overtake three teammates for that optimal driver. They were going to go, this is going to be another replay. This was on with Layla. Oh my goodness me, that was a collision there with Tadona, and oh boy.
Very messy indeed. I did see something going on in the background, but the camera was a bit too far away to see what was happening, but obviously confirmation there of definite contact there on the opening lap.
Yeah, I think, I'm not quite sure who that was, but at least she's managed to get through, managed to get some places from that section. Another yellow flag, that is Barrett, I believe, coming out from Cops. And I think that might spell a first retirement, I'm not entirely sure, but I'll have to wait and see for that. And another yellow sector, I think that is, I'm not quite sure who that is, but Tetch is still up to front, there's Fingal trying to apply the pressure onto Mulling. It's not quite working. But he's just going to keep it in there for the time being, though. Just hold his ground.
Yeah, I think DRS is now on this lap, so we'll see Single closing.
This is going to be something. This is coming up through Cops. He is. Oh my goodness me. That was a lot on the curb. And that would have been very, very close. But this is the SimSpark driver. Oh my goodness me. And that is a complete tank slapper. Oh, it hits right down through behind. That was Juho Soppinen, I believe. That was just out himself. And he lost the wheel. So that poses a retirement for Jakob Baron. And I saw as well Leila Petralia also at DNF. So we've already claimed 2 drivers thus far. So it's only down to 14 cars now as it stands.
Yeah, Petalia went off, I think, in the final sector, as we see single with the DRS, but we've gone to a replay. This is the other one that we saw going off, so just losing it out the end of Stowe and out the race with no rear wing.
Yeah, it's quite it's a very hard track indeed, especially out from that curb. It's yeah, it's quite unfortunate though, but the race continues on through lap 4 out of 45. Single is, I think, losing a bit of ground, I think, to Van der Hoeding. Last lap, Van der Hoeding was about a tenth faster than the Hungarian behind, but he is going to be trying to apply for the pressure. I think he's doing a lot better out through that first sector. And the good thing, at least, being behind is the slipstream through the hangar will help indeed.
It will, and we're going to look at another replay here.
Oh, that's Botovsky, and that's also a bit on his own, and he'll just drop to a couple of places through back. But at least good for a rejoin, and we'll at least continue through to race. Of course, the flat spots means that we could probably see it maybe pitting a bit earlier than the others as well.
Yeah, not ideal. Interestingly, you got Sweezy, Val, and Miriam on their hard compound tyres, still hanging in there for 5th and 6th. So we look back to the lead battle, and Single with the rear flap open again. He's slipstreaming up into Stowe. He's having a look into Stowe, but not quite close enough.
That was very, very close, and almost would have been heartbreaking if he were to go for it. I think he was just trying to push Van der Hoeding out, and Van der Hoeding did not budge whatsoever. Demolians through up to 9th again with Bertowski. I think just matching his teammate about 2 seconds up behind, but looking over through last lap, I think they're both fairly similar, 2:38 and 2:23. Oh my goodness, what's this? Ayagan has managed to overtake now. Oh my goodness me, and there's contact in the back between Demolians and Miriam, and Miriam goes spinning into the gravel, and Olivia also goes spinning. They're both able to rejoin a bit for the time being. I think they've retained their front wings. If that's very, very lucky indeed, but heartbreak there from the first sector between these two.
Yeah, it looked like Miriam. We kind of just joined in as the kind of trigger point happened. Miriam had looked to have made a mistake coming out the final corner, which then allowed him to lose 1 or 2 places, and then, yeah, he just was going a lot slower than the rest of the field and was collected into turn 1.
Yeah, indeed, and yeah, that would have been pretty close. This is, oh goodness me, out just a bit too much out from Klops. That was, I think there was a valley behind, so not quite entirely sure that was. That was good touch, Phil. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Hanko. So yeah, a bit wide, but again, it's really showed its difficulties here at Silverstone in these early stages, isn't it?
Yeah, it has, and interestingly, when we rode on board with Single a few laps ago, going through, you know, the Maggots Beckett's chapel section, you could really see how the car was being disrupted by the turbulence from the car ahead, and he just couldn't get the front end turned in through those corners the way he would have wanted to.
Indeed, this is Sven Svingel. Oh my goodness me. And that will be too much onto the curb and can't really keep that car going straight, and at least it doesn't allow him to get much pressure from Canzonieri, though. It's still 1.5 seconds, but it has halted his charge up to Van der Hoeding though by 0.2. Yeah,
I had noticed that Single had dropped a fair few tenths this time round, and obviously that's why he had the off at Cops, and you know, the way the curb is, you're pretty much almost riding the curb there with the wheels off the ground, so losing time all the time doing that.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. But he's managed to claw that gap a bit more. It's now just coming down to back over to the usual 5/10 though. Looking over to the back at the Williams, I think going to be a bit under pressure from Miram. A bit of the wiggle out from the final sector means that he can't really breathe easy for the time being. And indeed, this is going to be another replay. This is with Euro Soplin, who's in dead last. So that's another one too much out through the curve. Everyone seems to be struggling through pops, it seems.
I feel like it's well, Soplin's actually on mediums. I was going to say some of the drivers are struggling on the mediums, not necessarily having the same grip through there as they did in qualifying, and they're still trying to take it as if it was qualifying.
Absolutely, of course, indeed. Of course, the setup being also a bit different in race than qualifying, both having their, own sort of advantages. As the Williams sideways out from the final corner, will this allow for Perseus over behind to maybe have a leg up? He is going to be with the DRS range if he keeps hold of it, but my goodness me, good thing that the Williams had managed to save it here.
Yeah, I don't know how he managed to save that, because I was pretty sure that was going then.
Let's see, actually, Miram, will he have the DRS? Actually, I think Williams has just pulled off enough for it. The gap is going to be about 0.75 seconds rather than the usual one that we have here in F1. So it is something to keep of note as well for the Canadian to keep his charge up ahead, to Olivia up ahead.
Yeah, I think we're only running the one DRS zone down the Hanger Straight here today. I was getting a bit confused.
Yeah, it's the green zone. Yeah, it's the green zone. Oh my goodness me, that's Dodona, and he's lost a couple of places in that moment. But touch up the head, Single with that DRS has managed to close the gap up to Van der Herding, but Van der Herding manages to extend it just a little bit through the final sectors that they go. I think, yeah, the Single was about a full second faster onto that second sector than the Dutchman was. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on for.
Yeah,
Megan, though, is going to continue his charge up ahead.
I was going to say, there must be a bit of a mistake there, but this is Sedona just, wow, managing to keep it in the straight line eventually, and that's some fairly decent driving there to keep it in the straight line. But back at the front,
no easy feat, I'm sure, as you've mentioned before. But let's see up ahead between Van der Herding and Single. It's come down to 3/10. And through the last lap, yeah, indeed, Single was about 1/10 faster than Van der Herding. Van der Herding is doing phenomenally well to keep the lead for the time being from Single. I think Single is just marginally a little bit quicker than the Dutchman, but can't really seem to make an overtake, really. I don't think his setup is really optimized for Dirty, I think.
No, and it seems like now Single's starting to get a little bit closer to Van den Herding. Van den Herding's starting to show a few mistakes here and there. I did see him take a little bit too much curb earlier, and the car got a little bit out of shape. So I think Single definitely smells blood.
Smells blood, indeed.
I don't quite know what's going on with the timing tower, because apparently Single's taking the lead, but he's definitely still in second position.
I think he might be as well, but I'm not entirely sure what will be going on here. But Van der Herding still holds on through to the lead, but that gap is closing, and that was too much of a wiggle out from the exit. This will allow for Isfan Single to apply to the pressure now. Is it going to happen? He's going to look to round the outside. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? Oh my goodness me, that might have been a bit of contact, but I think Single just about does it, and Van der Herding tried his best to hold on through. Can't do much.
Nah, and yeah, cost him dearly there, and a little bit of a sideways action, and he's struggling to keep it on circuit as he goes off track there, and already has given over a second to Single. So any chance of a fight back there for Van den Herding is well and truly gone.
Yeah, I'm kind of just wondering as well, because of the timing screen issue as well. But I think this will indeed be very close. That will be the exit out of the final corner, and just about holds it in. And look at this, swings down through the inside Oh my goodness me, and that will be contact from Miriam, I believe. That was Precious Miriam onto Bertovsky for 8th place, and didn't quite work out, and dropped many positions in the process. This is Tadona coming out through there, and I think he's just going to be fine. He will be fine. And another MV Conquest car was involved, and that will be also too much onto the curve. That is Kotachville again, but he still holds on through to 10th place though.
Yeah, and still pirouettes and managing to get it all sorted out. And back at the front, it's single with 1.5 seconds. And this is what Van den Hudden didn't want to see. He doesn't want to see single get into his rhythm and start banging out those fastest sector times.
Indeed, Istvan Svigel though is cleared off from Van den Hudden. He's got the space that he wanted. I think with Van den Hudden, for all the pressure that he's been from Istvan, he's just slowly crumbling a bit, and maybe it could be a chance for Kenziri to maybe have his turn, or a turn in trying to catch up to the Hungarian though.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have a go with what we're going to see here. So, oh, big off there.
Oh my goodness me! Oh my goodness me! Wow, that is a hefty crash out from the first 2 corners there from Yuri Kotachville and Perseus Mira. This is under pressure from Yuho, I believe, and just simply too much onto the grass. The Canadian goes and rejoins in 13th, which is currently last now. 3 retirements thus far, and lap time 15th, still 35 laps to go.
Yeah, and I definitely think Miriam's driving a little bit frustrated at the moment. Obviously been taken out twice so far this race. Yeah, I think he's going to have to have a lap or two to have a breather and just re-find his pace again.
Absolutely, indeed. I think everyone is going to try and look for their paces. From all the hectic that we have seen, I must imagine that these tires are, in some cases, for some of these drivers, maybe not the way that it's going for them, especially for the people onto the media runners. Of course, with Swazi and Bill, I think they've had a relatively easy race in their hands, so they can really prolong the tire use as much as they can. And Pierce is now indeed the first one into the pits.
Yeah, definitely taking a lot of, well, probably a few flat spots here and there on those tyres after best part of 3 spins there for him, so he's going to want to get rid of those and pit onto, I think, well, he won't be running, he's already running the hard compound tyre at the moment, so he'll be on to the mediums, which should be a long old stint for mediums.
Yeah, he is probably going to go. You're right, he is onto the medium, so he switched over to the medium compound. So I reckon he's probably going to have a look for another stop and maybe about 10 laps or so, maybe back onto the hards or another medium run if he wants. But yeah, to pit that early onto the hards, I guess it might make sense for him since that we have seen him in quite a lot of flat spot inducing incidents. But at least he's still racing, so a chance to go for a different strategy here. But Canzonieri closing down to 1.4 seconds away, or around that gap between himself and Van den Hudden. Van den Hudden is still keeping on cruise paces and is looking comfortably for second. David Ayaga, though, for the position that he's in, he's done pretty good to have kept it clean, and the optimal is maybe looking into the top 5 maybe, and could be eyeing for his best result. Of course, his previous best result was indeed P6 at Spielberg. So there is a chance he can go one better for a top 5 here, but Marsa and Cedric are indeed in his way, and as he's in the mediums, Bill's also on the hards.
Yeah, and obviously Iagan keeping a clean nose where there's been a lot of chaos going on around him, and by doing so has brought him up in 7th position, and there's 6th place just ahead of them.
Absolutely, indeed. Of course, Bill and Marsa, again, onto the same team as well, so we'll be sharing through a lot of information through together. Yuho Soppinen, the lowest place valet driver, will have Vitanevich up ahead to make a move, and it's not quite close enough yet, but still keeping applying pressure onto Mihailo for the time being. That was a wiggle out of Brooklands for Yuho, but still manages to keep it through on track as well, and we'll still continue on to this battle for 11th place.
Yeah, definitely looks like a bit of a handful there, does that Valley eSports car, and he goes off the track now. Definitely doesn't like the turbulent air of the car ahead, but he's still trucking along at the moment.
Indeed, Maggots and Beckett's and accident out through Chapel, they all go, and still holding on for the gap. David Eigen, he's going to be one of the first of the mediums to make a scheduled pit stop though, and this is going to be the replay with Juho Soppinen. This is indeed coming out from Cops, and just simply a bit wide. I'm not sure if that will indict a track penalty or not, but David, he's going to be one of the first to make a scheduled pit stop though, and Juho. So I believe these two are indeed scheduled, but especially for Eigen's case, he'll be moving on to the hard compound, I believe, or is he going to go for another medium one?
Let's see. I mean, Soppinen seems to be very, very slow on the pit entry. I'm pretty sure the entry line was a little bit further on from there, so either an issue there or not quite attacking the pit entry the way you would expect it to be.
David's going for another another medium run, so he's going to double medium that, so that means that he's eyeing for a hard one at the closing stages of the race. Still looking for Van der Hooding though. It's pretty much equaled the gap all the way between the top three now, 2.5 seconds approximately each from each other. So Isvan Svigel is sort of a bit running away from it. We were talking about before how it can be a momentum changer. I think this might be the momentum that Isvan might need to be a prime contender for the Pro Championship. Of course, he has been, again, the lowest place he has finished was just second place. But I think we're looking at a very good performance as Canzoneri also making a scheduled pit stop for Valet.
Yeah, this will be interesting. Obviously, Canzoneri behind Van Hudding, so I think almost looks as though they're going for the undercut on their own team at the moment. But out he goes, hard compound tyres strapped to that Valley eSports car. Be interesting to see, is he going to go to the end on this? It seems like other teams are opting for a two-stop strategy in this race, so crucial data for the team to see what they can do for Van Hudding.
Absolutely, but Canzoneri is indeed also collecting a bit of data from Van der Hooding though. Ayakin though going to make an overtake onto Dona. Looking out through turn one, he's on the fresher compound. Might be looking down to the inside into the first sector. Oh, he's having a look for it. Is it actually going to even work? Through the outside onto the loop. I think was he trying to look for the switchback. It's not existing because Tadona must have sensed him and it placed his car perfectly there.
Yeah. Definitely looked like he was going for that switchback, but it's a very, very awkward corner to try and do that on. And oh, it's a opposite lock there. Was a bit wrong-footed by Tadona there. Such was the closing speeds on those newer compound tyres. Yeah, it's back to the drawing board.
Absolutely indeed, and Van der Hooding and Single looking up to there are making their pit stops, and this is indeed going to be scheduled, so we're going to see where they'll come out on top. If the undercut or the overcut has indeed worked, we'll have the basis of Canzoneri's gap as help, as David Eigen, I think, a bit too far off there, as they both enter into their respective pit boxes. Swazi and Bill also on the hard compounds means that they're going to go on for as long, but Marsa is the longest of the medium runners, so he's hoping to overcut these guys indeed, or just try to find a way to bridge the gap. They'll all exit out coming out for lap 15 and they will rejoin. I think Bertovsky will split the two, and they will. Yeah, indeed, Single and Van der Hooding, and Bertovsky splits them. But look at this, Canzoneri, I think, has actually closed it.
Definitely, the gap has come down massively there. But big loss there for Van den Hudding by coming out behind Bertovsky, and that's going to allow Canzoneri to sprint away in the distance. And yeah, Van den Hudding going to have to try and find a way through on Bertovsky.
Juho Soppinen just set the fastest lap 1:31.332 after his scheduled pit stop. So he's really putting the life into those tyres, as you can see there with Bertovsky just having to defend from Van der Hooding. It is notoriously hard to follow a car behind through Magnus and Beckett's. This is that car for Choppel. For Bertovsky, I think maybe just a bit too much. I think he might move out a bit of the way, and this will allow for Van der Hooding to get on through. Canzoneri also have the DRS, and maybe follow on through his valet teammate, and will do. But I think Bertovsky just shuts the door at him.
Now, I think Petoski's trying to get on the right side to get into the pit lane, and he does so. You just see a massive difference in performance between the brand new hard tyre against some used medium tyres, and Petoski could not do anything to defend from those two.
So into the pit, so that will probably be the last of the medium runners to have made. He was the last one to actually make his scheduled pit stop, as we mentioned before. Bertowski also down into the pits as well. So really props to them for the mediums lasting about 16 laps or so, and it's kind of given all the other teams like a good fair share of how long we can expect for the mediums to last. So everyone is effectively going to go through to the hards. So this will be important for Swazi as we keep an eye on for his progress when he'll come into the pits, because he will have quite a lot to do. 33.3 and Cedric Bale previous one was 33.0, and Single have yet to set their representative lap times as they try to find 8 seconds to climb up to these two.
Yeah, and Sweezy and Bill very, very close to each other. Is Bill close enough for the DRS? I think he just missed out there. He was within 7/10 and he just lost out through the Maggots and Beckett section. But this is the lead battle for the lead. Although once these guys pit, they will go back to single. But obviously the lead runners still yet to pit on their harder compound tyres.
Indeed, and just looking up for ahead, I think Sven Single as well has done pretty good, because as we mentioned before with that traffic with Bartolski, it has indeed quite extended to about nearly 4 seconds between himself and Van der Hudding. 3 seconds or more or less, as we see right on board with him, and everyone else just made their pit stops now, so that means that Single has to catch up now. It has calmed down to about 6 seconds now, so it's gained 2 in that previous lap, so I think it'll just be a bit inevitable to see these two climb up to Bill and Swazi. He did indeed set a new fastest lap of a 31.2 in his end as well.
Yeah, so, and you can see just how he is eating into the advantage of the guys ahead. Already down to 6 seconds, and it was over 10 seconds earlier, so Sweezy and Bill losing out massively, at least to the front guys. When they come out on those fresh, softer or medium compound tyres, they will have a pace advantage against those ahead, so it'll be interesting to see what they manage to do coming through the field later on.
Indeed, a strong battle between the hard compounds and the medium compounds, so I think it just depends on how well you effectively use the tyres. Single has indeed used them pretty well. Bill will have the DRS and be able to pressure to Swoozy now.
Yeah, and this time he does indeed have the DRS. Missed out last time round, but he's definitely faster than Sweezy ahead, but all the while eating second out after second into them is Single. So I wonder if they're going to end up pitting before Single gets to them, or if Single's going to get them and pass the pair of them.
If that will be the case, then it's going to be quite hard to see these guys on older rubber hards to defend from Sven Single, who is, you know, not only notoriously quick and on fresher rubber. But again, they can maybe work together if that were to be the case. But as you mentioned before, it is lap 18, and there is a possibility that they could be going in for an early pit stop as well for the hards.
Yeah, and the other thing that we could see, if Single does in fact catch these two, it's going to help Van den Hudding, where Van den Hudding lost out earlier with the car ahead of Petoski. Single's got 2 cars to try and deal with, which should allow Van den Hudding to catch a little bit more.
Absolutely, indeed. Bill keeping applying the pressure onto Swazi. Coming out through the exit onto Chapel they go. Again, very notoriously dirty error, and that will just bridge the gap between Swazi and Bill. But again, with the DRS, it climbs it back over. You can see down in the background there, Single still closing in just now under 5 seconds between himself and Bill. As the attention now draws to the back there. Grace Miran looking over ahead to the Mulians and Vicinevich, which are all about within almost within about a second of each other, or 2 seconds of each other. I think we might see a battle mustering between Vicinevich and Debulians very soon. Exing out through Maggots, through the Beckett's, And then out for the exit onto Chapel. We're going to see maybe a potential move here with the DRS. If he had a good exit out of Chapel, that is, with the DRS now into Dominion's advantage. Going to have to look for an eye and to make the move on through to the inside. Vincenevich responds and has to defend. And meanwhile, we're going to be going side by side. You can see Pierce's able to take advantage from this all, if whichever way it will go. But today we'll still be able to go for the side. Look at this going down for Vale. This is going to be absolute pandemonium. 3 wide. My goodness me. And that almost ended in complete tears. But a massive collision though.
Yeah, and they're nearly 4 abreast going down the Hamilton Straight there. And Miriam still somehow almost being taken out for a 3rd time there, and I think for the 3rd time Domillions was involved,
Whoa! What a switchback! Oh my goodness me! And Perseus Murab with that switchback with Juho Soppinen, and that was a bit of contact. They both will go off track, and Murab will just about hold on to 11th place from the Finnish driver. What absolute pandemonium that we're witnessing here. Juho Soppinen able to respond, throwing down his inside into Bricklands. We can't really do much. Perseus Murab still holds on to 11th though.
Yeah, and Miriam has been pretty much a pinball in today's race. He's definitely taken a lot of contact, and we are in Britain, but it's not quite British touring cars.
Watch this, indeed, a almost through goes. That was honestly incredible. Kind of reminiscent back over in 2022 British Grand Prix when Hamilton made a 2-car overtake in that situation. But it was pretty messy indeed with the amount of contact that was going on though. And this is to the back between Juho Soppinen and a bit too deep. And Perseus trying to look for the switchback. Oh my goodness me, that was a bit of a barge there from Juho, I believe. But wasn't quite there. But yeah, that was almost very ugly indeed from that field. But luckily everyone has their cars still intact, all in one piece. And looking over here, Swansea has indeed been overtaken by Single now, and we'll have Van der Hooding to worry about down the back as well. But Single is going to try to catch up ahead to Cedric now.
Yeah. Hopefully we won't see a replay here. Yeah, it's on DRS, so the pair of them are ahead. So have they had to come together? That's allowed Single through. That's a good move around the outside there from Bao. So he's taken the lead, and in the background, yeah, it's Single coming in at a rate of knots.
Yeah, and they can see that Isman Svingel has already caught up, coming through the Vale, and was already on the backside onto Swansea, and yeah, he just tries to defend, but it's just that fresher compound. It's really hard to defend it for the outside of that, but I'm really surprised he's got it done. Svingel just says, okay, I'll just try again in another corner, and he really does so. I think he might be able to do it for the loop. If he does it for the switchbacks, he almost tries to look for it, but can't quite do it much. It's actually going to be for the slipstream here that he'll do it, and nothing much that the Cellspot Racing team driver can do. But it's a move important for Single, at least for the time being, to get himself up into 2nd. And honestly, good attempt there from Swansea to keep that pressure on. And this is Marsa, who's in P6. That was really wide out from there, and manages to keep it holding through on track for the time being.
Looks like a bit of a disconnection going on there.
That might have been a bit of a disconnection, but not entirely sure. I think if it was going wide, then it probably would be the case. And this is going to be Van der Hooding making the move onto Swansea in the background when we seen Single just did it mere moments ago, as he's still trying to apply the pressure onto the Hungarian. And a very quick move than what Isvan did a lap prior.
Yeah, and Single now into the DRS of Bile. Is he going to be close enough to send a move into Stoke Corner? He's definitely closing, and he's going to send it up the inside, but no. Bile's going to try and respond there with the outside.
It also might be enough. He was trying to get him off his racing line, and Isvan Svingel will have the racing line coming through the chicane, and that's all he needed to do. And the Hungarian will retake the lead of the race.
Yeah, so Van den Hudding's going to have to work very hard and very quickly now to get rid of Bile if he wants to stand any chance of fighting for this race win here. It's still in the offing. He's only 1.2 seconds off the back of Single as it stands, but he's going to have to try and get through on Bile very quickly.
Indeed, I think we're just getting a pre-remission there. Marsa is suffering a bit from connection issues, which is what explains for the replay that we've just seen a moment prior. So I think that might be a bit of a problem. The Van der Hooding, though, having a look down to the inside onto Cedric Beale, and he will do so. Oh, split sideways out for Brooklyn, but I think it surely should be enough to do it, and he does so. And with that overtake action in mind, look at that, the gap is only 1 second now.
Yeah, he's going to have to work very hard now to go after single. He's going to have a little bit of turbulent air to deal with, but it seems like on these harder compound tyres, Van den Hudding seems to be enjoying them a lot more than single.
Oh my goodness me, Canzoneri with the dirty air coming out from Cops, almost tries to take it for a bit more fun than what was needed, and had no choice but to take out through that runoff. It's a really good thing actually that there's asphalt runoff here at Silverstone, especially for that section of the track though. As we're going to look down to the replay with Ferris, that was contact between himself and Juho Soppinen. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Was he trying to look at it for the inside? Just trying to look it down for the inside, and Ferris shuts the door. I don't think that move was really there, to be honest, in Pierce's defense, but I'm not quite sure what has quite materialized here.
Looks like Soppinen's been racing today with a crowbar in hand today, because he's had a few of those sorts of moves.
Let's see with David Ayagan. He's actually dropped down for the order. Oh my goodness me! Oh my goodness me! And that is a complete tank stopper out of Pops, and that will be another retirement through that corner.
Cops claims another driver, but here's Canzoneri now onto the back of Sweezy.
Yeah, indeed, and the gap the DNFs have extended up into 4. I think that will be our second retirement through that corner as well, and you know, for all the ones that sees all the action there, as Swazi almost going to concede that position to Canzoneri, but swings back down onto the apex and defends it from Giuseppe for the time being, and that will allow for the Valley eSports driver to figure out another way on how to overtake him.
Yeah, and he's got the pace, he's got the tyres. It's just trying to find that right position. He's gonna have DRS if he gets close enough on through Maggots and Beckett. You can just see how the car's affected by the turbulent wake from the car ahead, but he's got the DRS and he hopefully will get the move done into Stowe.
Indeed, Canzoneri with the DRS though, looking down right down to the inside, coming through this corner. Swazi almost has to try to look down through, but not really too much, and that is really his tyres effectively on life support, I believe, and much that he can't really do. Giuseppe will happily take 4th place, but really good there from the Tunisian, especially from the defending that we've seen from him.
Yeah, and both Baal and Sweezy has gone that's sideways from Van den Hudding. Both managed to go over half race distance, so they're going to have to be thinking of pitting sometime soon. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves going a bit too far down the order once they come out and give them a lot of work to do. But still at the front, after that slight slide through into the farm curve and village section, it's it just went over 2 seconds, but he managed to claw it back in this sector to 1.6 seconds. So still a race on here for the lead. Yeah,
absolutely indeed, but Single has pushed the gap from himself to Van der Hudding, so it's really putting the pedal to the floor and increased that gap, and well, it was almost looking like if Van der Hudding did that, he'll manage to get DRS, but yeah, the Hungarian, it's not going to make it easy for him.
No, and the car still seems fairly compliant through Maggots and Beckett's there, and has actually had a good exit onto the hangar straight and has managed to claw back a couple of attempts. So definitely seems like that Valley eSports is good through the corners where it matters, really.
Indeed, I think that was just Pierce's man, indeed making a stop for damage, but Didona and Soppinen, this is going to be in a battle for P9 as it stands. So this is going to be interesting to see whether what will happen between these two valet drivers. Of course, different compounds and different strategies for the Italian and the Finnish driver. I think the Juho has not finished in the top 10 for valet, I believe. So if he does so, this is going to be his first. And I think it might be the same for Dodona if it was the way to stand. Yeah, it does. So Yuho, last time that he finished in the top 10 was all the way back in race 1, and Dodona's never finished in the top 10, so this could be a first for these two.
Yeah, and going back to Perseus Miram, obviously he pitted very early on to medium compound tyres, so we pretty much said that's a long way to go on those tyres, and I think that's correct, and he's gone on to the hard compound for another stint. I think pretty much that's how it was going to end up.
I think we might be seeing some lap traffic maybe coming in hand, as Perseus Miram is a bit dangerous to that traffic of single Van der Hoening behind, but I'm not sure why I was mentioning. It's just a bit of a little of a fun fact though, as Dodona still just losing a bit of ground to Juho Soppinen. Riding on with Anjevitsky now, Bratovsky, my bad. 2:28 seconds away from the leader, 7 seconds around from Marsa up ahead. I think we're seeing Cedric making his scheduled pit stop now for CAT Go team, so this is going to be one of the last of the hardwares. He's going to switch over to a fresher medium compound, I believe, with just about under halfway of the race left to go.
Yeah, and it's gonna be, wow, it's gonna feel brilliant for him when he comes out after getting rid of those hard compound tyres that he's had on for quite some time. He comes out in his position, so just ahead there of Potowski, and once he's got those tyres up to temperature, he's going to be loving life for, well, probably about 5-10 laps until they start falling off again.
Indeed, absolutely indeed, and Cedric Bill's definitely going to be a man on a mission, and with those compounds, again, can be able to push it more, but has to be a bit cautious with that. Those sort of overtakes, quicker and easier, I think, will indeed be the best way to make your racecraft count with those medium compounds. So precious, you don't want to, waste them too much with wasted opportunities, and I think Cedric indeed knows this in his head, and we'll definitely keep an eye on him as he makes his way up for the field. I think Marsa will indeed make it more easier for him, given that these are in-lead teammates, and Cedric, again, just eyeing for his potential first podium, which could be a bit of a possibility in his eyes.
Yeah, and we're waiting on to see Sweezy come through into the pits, because he's the final driver that we're waiting on for a pit stop onto those medium tyres.
Yeah, indeed. I see Juho Soppinen just jump off quite a bit, so I think that might have been a scheduled pit stop through to here, as he's applying the pressure onto Vincent from this exit here, and through the national straight they go. He's not going to be quite close enough though. Has to be very cautious though. Coming through cops though, already claimed 2 drivers, and a lot of people having to take evasive action there, but keeps it through on track as it stands. Maggots and Beckett's, I think with the better tyre compound he can catch up a lot to the Serbian up ahead, but that just exit out from Chapel means that I think Vincent will just about have the edge for the time being.
Yeah, Soppinen's going to have a go though. No, not quite close enough, but a massive tyre delta over him as he goes on the curb.
Oh, and he's kept it on track at least for the time being. Again, still eyeing for a top 10 in his in Valet, means that he definitely will like to keep it on track. And kept on track, he has done. Very good there from Soppinen indeed. Still holds on through to 11th, and still keeping through the pressure onto Vincent though through the first sector. Then they go later on the brakes, and my goodness me, that could have been very, very close. A bit too much through on the curb though, unsettles the car a bit, but Juho will be fine indeed. Swansea is the last of the hard runners coming to the pits with the Tunisian over in 4th, so we'll have to see how that's going to happen between himself and I believe it was Cedric, but watching this with Soppinen though, he's looking around, looking for a move through that first sector, but nothing really materializing at all. Out from the national straight though, I think is a bit too far off to make a move, although he might be able to do so if he wishes. No, he's not going to at all, and just stays on back for the time being. Indeed, super saved by Soppinen, Super Soppinen, if you get my drift. through Maggots and Beckett that they both go. Again, Sopelin with the better compound just has so much a better exit. Kick out much in the grass though. Means that Vincent will still hold it in. But with the DRS though, into Yuho's advantage, means that he might be able to get through to P11 though. Looks around for the outside, swings it around, and what a brilliant move.
Yeah, great stuff there. It took him a little bit longer than he would have wanted to get them. Definitely a good one once he got it done.
Absolutely, completely phenomenal.
Now, back at the front, I was just keeping an eye on this as Single has been, or losing a bit of ground to Van den Hudding, or Hudding's been bringing it in, and as you can see, there is a lapped car in the distance, so things potentially about to get a bit spicy here at the front.
Here's yes, I believe that is, and can't necessarily blame him with the pit that he had to do for repairs, and he's into the hards. I think he might be going through to the end in those compounds, so that'll definitely be something to keep an eye on for these drivers. He doesn't really want to put much straight into these tires, so and if they do beat him, I don't think it'll be, you know, all the end for Mura, because I'm pretty sure it's Single Van den Hudding could eye for another stop to their name. I think everyone apart from a couple of people are indeed two-stopping here, mediums to hards and then to the mediums. I think for the people in the hards, maybe might try to go for to the end of the mediums, but it's going to be such a hard ask. And even if it doesn't work, the soft compound is there, but at Silverstone it's quite risky to use the soft sub, I reckon, especially for how easily it degrades.
Yeah, and it looked like a little bit of a mistake there from Single coming out of the Chapel corner. That's going to allow Van den Hudding to close a little bit more, but obviously not close enough to have any form of DRS. But definitely keeping him honest here is Van den Hudding.
Yep, absolutely indeed. And Van den Hudding at least pushes the deficit from his teammate Katsuri by 10 seconds. So second position will indeed be his. And I think maybe looking back through to the pit stops as well, as we've seen Katsuri and Van den Hudding almost onto similar paces as well, means that you know, Van den Hudding pitting that the way he did means that it should be the way for pit stops to maybe go for out here. 50 laps, so still to go. Single still holds on to the lead, and still 1.5 seconds from Van den Hudding. So not quite out. I think we see someone crash out for the distance though.
I was going to say Soplinen's off at turn 1, yeah.
Oh my goodness me, that was a complete tank slapper, and that is going to be,
Oh my
goodness me, there's fire, and the rear wheel has just gone off from his car, and that will claim for another retirement. 5 cars out here.
Yeah, and this is going to be the interesting thing for Single, is because the 2 cars ahead are going to be fighting for position, so whilst they're all engrossed in their own battle, I mean, Miriam not quite close enough to 10th position, but he is on the fresher tyres. Single may find himself against 2 people completely engrossed in their own battle, not realising that the leader is behind trying to lap him.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty true indeed. We're going to see, though, 31.6, though, so Vincent I don't think might be in the midst of that lap traffic. No, he is going to be involved in that. 1.5 seconds, I believe. The gap is between these two, I believe.
Van den Hudding's pitted.
Oh, Van den Hudding has pitted. Oh, yeah, you're right. Van den Hudding has gone into the pits, so he's going to make a scheduled stop now. So yeah, he's going to look to another medium. I think he must be looking for another medium, I reckon, right?
Yeah, I mean, with what's that? Maths. 14 laps to go, isn't that? Yeah, I'd go mediums. And he's going to try and get some form of undercut on Single, unless Single reckons he can go the distance on those tires.
Indeed, X is up for the pits though, onto the medium compound. He's going to look for the mediums down to the end of their life, effectively, with the stint. So I think with Single and Castaner, if they're going to look to the pits, maybe they're looking to try and pit later, maybe try to take advantage to the hards. It may be a bit more sufferable for them as the hards effectively falls off a cliff, but it could be worth it to take advantage of a fresher medium compound. The good thing for Van den Hudding is that he has got no traffic ahead of him, so he can really push those mediums as much as he could to maybe try and get closer to Single.
Yeah, and we're going to see a replay. What we're going to see here. Oh, Yeah, definitely a tap slapper there again for the Mullions.
It is indeed, but yeah, just keeps that for on track as he can, and will happily still hold on to 8th for that one. Catching up on the through. As Amir, much of a attack slipper out from the exit. This is not going to allow him to be safe from single. Actually, speaking of which, singles into the pits now.
Yeah.
So Canzonieri is also going into the pits now. So that's going to be all of the top 3 having that extra pit stop now, and we're going to see now Ryan with Van Hooding, and we're going to take a look from them to themselves and Single where they're going to exit out.
Single's trundling down pit lane at the moment, but has he got it? Yeah, it looks like he's gone through.
No, he hasn't. Van Hooding has done it. He retakes through the race lead in the dying moments of the race, actually, with about not actually dying moments, 12 laps left to go here for this race, though, but it's going to be absolutely crucial. Canzonieri, meanwhile, he's up and Fairfed. He's got Bill and Marsa to worry about, but for Single, it's actually almost the same position, the same gap as it was before they went to the pits, except it's just the reverse order.
Yeah, and it seemed, though, in the previous stint when they were running on the medium compounds, Single was definitely a lot happier on these tyres than Van den Hudding. Van den Hudding seemed to enjoy those hard compounds a bit more, but he's had a lap to go around and warm those tyres up, and you can already see he's sprinting off into the distance with a 1.4 second advantage.
Yeah, absolutely indeed. But Single, again, with that fresher compound, means that he can do a lot to try and get the lead away from Van der Hooding. It could be looking to a very dramatic finale here at Silverstone here. Of course, Canzonieri, I think just outside of that race win picture, shouldn't be a bit too comfortable, though. Has got a lot of time to try and make up through to his places. I believe Marson, I'm not sure exactly. I think Bill is one step on, I believe, but I'm not quite entirely sure. But Single and Van der Hooding, though, Single has actually put a lot into those tires and has almost made it to go down to about just a second, though. But looking here from the previous loss, Van der Hooding sets the fastest lap at 1:30.0.
Yeah, and that's rapid in comparison to what they've been doing before. They were doing 32s beforehand, I think. So definitely throwing the gauntlet down, but Single seems to be responding. It's closed the gap down to 1.2 now.
He is actually kind of closing up, so Marcel will be in a bit of a trouble. Again, also on the hard compounds, and Cedric onto the mediums, and actually maybe he's not giving him a bit of slipstream though, so might be looking through to defend, but actually it's going to be quite an easy overtake though through the Brooklands, and Cedric will happily take their place, and that will leave to Marsa to try to defend to allow his teammate to get his first podium, I believe, in FSR.
Yeah, that definitely looked like a bit of team orders coming into play there for the team there, Bill and Marsa. But on he goes on those mediums. We got Brozovic in softs, so we have a soft compound making a debut in this race.
Indeed. I think looking out for the championships as the way it stands, Van der Hooding will indeed take over Cedric Bill's third place in the standings if he were to win this race, and Cedric, well, at least will be pretty happy with his first podium. Again, came so ever agonizingly close on a number of occasions, the closest being back in Melbourne, and I think will be happy to get a podium here for himself. Tension towards the back though between Ferris and Amir, though, looking to pressure to Mihailo Vincenevich for P10. The not the final point scored, but laced into the top 10 might be good. Bertovsky switches over to the soft compounds, so he'll be looking to see what he could do in 10 laps. 10 laps onto the softs is quite an ask, actually, so I wonder what the Slovakia could do here.
I mean, obviously they're late on into the race. They'll have a lighter fuel load, so in theory, those tyres should go a few laps extra than if they were to be put on earlier on in the race, but like you said, big ass. But in the meantime, I said Single was responding, and he's responded with the fastest lap of the race of a 1:29.9, so just about within DRS as they come through magazine, and it's going to have that flap open coming onto the hangar straight.
it's not going to be. It's just not quite off 2/10 off from Single and Van der Hooding, but he is catching though, and that will allow it to keep the pressure onto Van der Hooding though. Touch to the back though, Cantonier and Marsa a bit too late, maybe a bit off through the race line. Cantonier will have the DRS through to his advantage and will use the slipstream in advantage, and also to Marsa, swings around through to the third sector, and Cantonier will happily take fourth.
Yeah, I think Bill would not be particularly happy there. Not the best of tail gunners there from Marsa, but still, that is a position there for Canzonieri on those fresher medium compound tyres, and you can set about going after Bill, who is also on some older medium compound tyres.
This is weird though, looking over through Brooklyn's down over to Loffield though. Vincent again hugging to the inside line. He's definitely going defensive though. Demullions into Dona though. Main wall almost side by side up to Cops, but Demullions just backs off. And I believe he might be through the fresher compound, so looking to the move onto Dona. He goes to Dona, has a bit of a slip and slide. Oh my goodness me, Demullions does, and he's gonna go off.
Yeah, and lucky there was quite a lot of runoff there. Pretty much was going off into the car park for a moment. But still somehow has DRS because he went through the detection zone. But in the background, here's the battle for 10th position.
Yeah, he is almost looking up for the inside coming to Stowe, but it hasn't quite worked out. In fact, really bad there for Miram because he's lost a lot of gap between Vincent from that line. Going out through Vale though, if he could do anything to try and claw up, could be the time though, with that 10 laps left to go. And look at this tension up the front between Spingle and Van der Hooding. I think Single just had the DRS out from the hangar straight, so this is going to allow him to claw up even further ahead.
Yeah, and pretty much as we saw from earlier, Single's gonna have to pretty much look for, and I was about to say look for a mistake, and there's a mistake there from Van den Hudding, getting it completely wrong into the village section, and so that's gonna allow him to close back up. But Single in that optimal car all race, when struggling well behind Van den Hudding, has been struggling with the front end.
Absolutely indeed. Single really applying the pressure onto Ruben, but Ruben doing everything he possibly can to defend, holds on through to lead. Single has a pressure tire compound. The thing that could go through to Van der Hooding's favor is if he just pushes Istvan to more tire inducing or more tire heavy lines, and he's kind of doing that, coming through Cops and Maggots and Beckett's. Just the more that he needs ahead means that in order for Single to try and reach that speed means that's applying more pressure onto it. But he will have the DRS though coming through hangar straight, and is it going to be close enough? It won't be quite close enough. Vincent and Miram still in the midst of these battles, so we're going to keep an eye on these two battles throughout the rest of this race. I think.
Yeah, and actually that's Vincent going into pit lane, I believe there. So that's that. So that's one less car for these two to come past, and they're already right on him, on Miram now. So, and Miram goes out of the way, so that's one less car for them to deal with, and slows down and lets the pair of them through. So pretty much as I can see on the track map, they've got clean air for another few corners until they've got another car to catch up, which is Demolians, who's obviously had a few off-track excursions. That's another wheel spin there.
Yes, absolutely indeed. Vincent to Dona Petrovsky. Both of them onto the softs. Vincent will switch on to the soft compound, so they are really trying to push it down to empty till the very end here. And look over down to the replay as we have a look for T-Dona. This is indeed onto the soft compounds, and this is coming out through Woodco, and loses it, does it 180, but 180's right back around, and keeps on through into the race. A bit of a flat spot though, but I think it should be fine there for himself, as Single still 6/10 away from Van der Hooding. Again, you can feel the anticipation between these two drivers to effectively exchange places since back at lap 1. And when Van der Hooding managed to make an overtake from Single, who was the pole sitter, and Istvan has been looking to try and get it back, didn't take it back, but Van der Hooding, having pitted earlier, made that he managed to make that overtake off track and retook it by 1.2 seconds, but now it's clawed down to about 3/10 now between these two, so it's going to be very, very intense. These two have won the last previous 3 race wins, actually, with Single winning 2 and Van der Hooding winning the previous one back in Austria, so that's definitely going to be very intense. Canzoneri looking over to Cedric. This is going to be for P3. Istvan Svingel really taking through the advantage though onto the tire compounds, through the village, up through to the loop. Almost has looked up for the inside Van der Hooding, and Van der Hooding knows this and has to take further evasive action. Canzoneri meanwhile over to the back on Cedric, but looking up attention through to the Wellington straight. Look at this, Van der Hooding has to go for defensive, swings around for the outside to Brooklands. Istvan's trying to hold it on through to make it to the inside up to Luffield. It isn't going to quite work, and Van der Hooding will still hold on to the lead.
Yeah, Van den Hooding parking the car where he needs to there as they come out of the Luffield corner, and so that's allowed a couple of car lengths for Van den Hooding as we go further on back for this battle for third position. There's just too much. We almost need side-by-side more going on for battle for first and third.
Absolutely, pretty incredible. Canzoneri, bit of a tank stopper coming out for Woodcut, so we have another chance to maybe have a go through onto Cedric Beale. And again, Cedric Beale's eyeing for his first podium. And look at this, Istvan Svingel losing that time because of the dirty air. That tire advantage is slowly draining away the more that he's under the dirty air of Valley Hurling, so he needs to make that overtake sooner rather than later onto the Valley eSports driver. Canzoneri, meanwhile, applying the pressure on the Cedric Beale, surely has to try to make the move sometime soon. We'll have to use for the DRS maybe if he's quite close enough. He is going to be close enough, and will be able to try and get close enough, but not quite enough to make an overtake over through the stone.
Yeah, and definitely Van den Hooding putting on a lap this time round because he's managed to open up the gap, but this time again, Single responding through this first sector. He seems very good. Van den Hooding struggling to get the traction down out of the loop, and this is where Single manages to make so much. Although saying that, he gets a load of wheel spin coming out of the loop. Back to Canzoneri, who's lining up Bill. Not quite close enough.
No, not indeed, but at least we'll have enough to keep the pressure onto the Frenchman up ahead through to the loop that they go out from Antry. Just needs to be a pretty good exit to just use the slipstream, and could be looking fancy over to Brooklands if he does so. Almost having a look for or pushes him off the racing line and make him defensive, but I don't think Cedric will buy that, and he definitely won't. He's going to take the normal through racing line and just occupy it ahead of Canzoneri for the time being. 6 laps to go, may I add, so it's still very, very intense here.
Yeah, and it feels like these, for us, these 6 laps are going to go very quickly. For the likes of Van den Hooding and Bill, it's going to feel like an age.
Indeed, absolutely indeed. 3/10 though. Single just has the DRS, I believe, through the hangar straight to pushes himself even closer to Van der Hooding, but Van der Hooding is still not budging as they both go through the veil through the final corner of Club, and Single loses out from Club. Oh my goodness me, that has maybe cost them about 2/10. Not at all dangerous, at least. It's still going to be recoverable, but that is still going to be a momentum shifted to Van der Hooding's favour.
Yeah, and this is going to be a little bit more comfortable for Van den Hooding. Obviously, Single using up a lot of tyre to try and find. At the moment, appears to be keeping it nice and tidy.
Indeed, it is pretty good there from the Spingle to again hold it in and just keep the pressure to Van Hooding for the time being. But again, just it's going to be unfortunate for Gary Jarvik to maybe think if it was a move to make sooner than rather than leaving it to the wire, which is going to be the case up the longer that he's going to leave it though. As we're going to have a look down for the replay onto one of the CT Go Team drivers. This is going to be out from the exit onto Village, and that is Mira indeed. And or at least he manages to not make contact with the front wing, and oh my goodness me, that's a pretty dangerous redraw. I think that was in front of T-Donut, I believe, and oh no, it wasn't T-Donut. I think that was Canzoneri, I believe.
Not sure who it was actually. Yeah, it might have been Bale and Canzoneri there, but these two are now catching on to the back of another back mark, from what I can see.
Indeed, that is De Moulins, I believe, so he is going to be the next in line to get lapped, and I think what we've seen previously before, I think Single's just way too close to Van der Hooding, that probably makes logical sense for Olivier to effectively let these two lap rather than stagnates between the two. The 4 laps left to go. Single's gonna look down for the through. He's almost like in time for the inside onto Village, or trying to put Van der Hooding out of the racing line, but again it just doesn't work for Istvan, and still just applying the pressure onto Ruben as he possibly can. I must say, if Ruben manages to pull this off, this will probably be one of his most impressive FSR wins, I must say.
Yeah, it's definitely looking to be a hard one. He thought he had it all in hand in that middle stint, or first stint as well, and it just was brilliant strategy there from Valley eSports and Van den Hudden there to retake the lead through strategy, and it's going to be a hard fought one. And that's, I don't know what happened there, but it seemed like Single had a bit of a brain fade there, because he dipped a few wheels onto the grass, but still chasing after him.
This is going to be very dramatic, though. He has to try and make up all that time through Maggots and Beckett's and through the chapel, which again is going to cost him more in his tire life. And he's out of DRS range, so he won't be able to get the pressure onto Ruben. So this is looking to be Ruben's favour at the time being. But the thing that Single might have a bit to his advantage is the lap traffic that might produce just enough dirty air for Van der Hooding for himself to catch up, though.
Yeah, and he's taking liberties there, going into the club chicane, and further on back, and it looks like Canzanieri has lost a bit of time to Bill, so possibly a bit of a mistake there. We might see something from race direction, but still, battle going on for third place here.
Yeah, it's just going to see these two battles. I think they might go really down to the wire, as we can just see with Demillion still keeping up for a chunk. I don't think the blue flag has been effectively waved yet for the Frenchman. So Van der Hooding, while the slipstream here, but we'll have the dirty air from Brookens, Linfield and Woodcote, though, as it's going to just come down for approaching these two drivers onto Olivia. I think he may have to move out of the way onto the national straight.
Oh, and he's spun off, so he's definitely gone out the way.
Okay, he's spun off, so he's definitely on the way. So has that allowed for Single to get himself even closer to Van Hooding? I think it has done, but again for the replay, as we get to see out from Bluefield, and yeah, he just loses it out, and luckily his front wing is still attached, but at least he's kept on through to 8th. And Single now within the DRS range onto Van der Hooding now means that he'll try and close on through. So it was down to 3/10 that we usually see between these two, up into Stowe. Whenever Van der Hooding was
look on the inside.
Definitely inside into Stowe. That was almost going to be so close, but camera direction, it's almost going to be looking through. I think Van der Hooding did respond though, so I think that was what Single was trying to aim for as he go through Val, and holds on through for the time being though.
Yeah.
Looking down to the back though, Bill and Cassidy are still within under a second, so we're going to see these two continue to battle for P3, but oh goodness me, this is going to be such intense fights here within 2 laps to go here of this race.
Yeah, and you can just see Van den Hudden sliding the car around. You saw the last time round on the last lap, well, a lot of Single, that's going to cost him onto this straight. But did you see the last time round as it came into Brooklands? You could see Van den Hudden, the rear end protesting, and Single's front end protesting, and it just in a world of opposites really, in the way that and it just seems like Single's just struggling with his front end. He's having to try and hook the car on the curb to try and get through some of these corners now.
Indeed, it's very, very hard to. The mediums are just degrading so quick. Especially as the race goes on, so everyone has to be, as much as the weight is going to pay a lot to the advantage onto the mediums, it's still going to put in a lot of wear and tear into them, especially what we've seen back over at the first stint whenever people were going into the pits. And from the exit though, will we see maybe another DRS? It is going to be a DRS again to Istvan's favor. 6 tenths off from whenever the DRS was indeed activated. How much more closer can he get it through? He's not going to go for lay of the brakes as he did last time, and as such, Ruben does not respond.
Yeah, and you're just going to see Single just trying to do everything he can. Getting the car all locked up, backing it in MotoGP style almost into club there. And getting a snap of oversteers. We come for the second to last lap this time round. Yeah, he's just trying to do everything he can. He's trying to put his car in all over Van den Hudden's mirrors to try and force some sort of error, because that seems the only way he's going through at the moment.
Indeed, the penultimate lap awaits between Van der Hooding and Swingle now. navigating through the first sector, they both go. And again, just the DRS will happen for the hanger straight, so Sega will only have for the slipstream to do. Vanny Hoodie has tried to look through, just maybe breaking through the toe though. Out from Brooklands that they both go, really using their tires as much as they possibly can. No lap traffic is going to play for the remainder of the laps between these two drivers indeed. As we see in the background, Canzonieri and Cedric will probably also go down through to the very last lap as well.
Yeah, and Canzonieri's managed to close in the gap now to Bill, and back at the front, it's down to under half a second as they come through the Maggots and Beckett section. Can Single hold on to that through this car, and it's sideways there for Nutting.
Ruben's off, and that will allow for Sven to take the lead in the dying stages, and you'll also have the DRS. Oh my goodness me, in dramatic sequences, Vanden Heuning has lost the race lead.
Oh, but you saw a big wide moment there as we went away from Single. He got a massive snap there, so it's still not over.
Indeed, but I think Isfan with that DRS might be the gap that he only needs to hold on to the lead, but it will go down for the final while. Ruben has got to do the lap of his life to try and get him through and maybe take a DRS. He might have a possibility if he attacks for the corners though, and at least the problem is though, he's not used to driving through the dirty air. To the back though between Giuseppe Canzonieri and Cedric Bill. This is going to go down through to the final lap here. What an intense 45 laps we have just in here at Silverstone, and there's still positions to play for here. Cedric Bill holding on to maybe could be his first podium here this season, and Canzonieri is hoping to continue on through his continued podium streak though, but the tension towards the front though, it is 8 seconds, 7 tenths off from Vanden Heuning and to Single though, within DRS range. He just needs to keep on up through. He goes sideways through once again. I think that might be over.
Yeah, and I did say it was going to have to be a mistake from Vanden Heuning to allow Single through. Is it still side by side?
Yeah, indeed, Canzonieri looking down through, 2 around to Cedric Bill, but Cedric Bill defends absolutely brilliantly, coming through left field.
Yeah, and it's going to be some critical corners now. That's going to have to be the same sort of thing for Ball and Canzonieri. Canzonieri's going to have to stay as close as possible through this Maggots and Beckett section, but it seems pretty clear that Single, given the last few corners, as long as he doesn't make a mistake, he's on for another race win.
Absolutely incredible, probably his most hardest fought win in this season thus far. Isfan Single come through the final 2 corners. What an incredible win for the Optimo driver. It will be his 3rd race win this season. Isfan Single wins here at Silverstone, and we have to look down for the back. I think Cedric Bill will just about fend off from Giuseppe Canzonieri in the dying stages of the race, and that will allow for Cedric Bill to claim his first podium by just about a few tenths of a second away from Giuseppe Canzonieri. What an amazing performance from these 4 drivers that we've just seen here today.
Yeah, and Bill going with just a one-stop strategy for the podium there. So brilliant driving there.
That was absolutely incredible of a race. Swansea over in 5th with Marcel mixing the team to 3rd and 6th. Andrei Pachowski is going to go through the final corner. He's going to be the last of the finishes to finish over in 7th with the Mullins in 8th, and Tadona in 9th, and Miriam completes for the top 10 with Vicinevich, the sole driver outside for the top 10. Wow, that was absolutely incredible. You must feel for Ruben to really hold it, to have a really I don't know how to play the words. It must be absolutely gutted to do everything possibly right, and then it all just same time crashing down in the final 2 laps. If it was just 2 laps shorter, we could be looking at a different race winner here.
Yeah, and well, you know, Vanden Heuning had put on a brilliant show, brilliant strategy from the team and himself to make it work. And just on the second to last lap where it all counted, he made the mistake that we said he needed to make for Single to go through, because Single was not finding any way through on Vanden Heuning's what was amazing defense up until that point.
Indeed, Canzonieri can't really continue on for his podium streak, so this is going to be his first finish that he will be outside of the podium, and indeed that will allow for Cedric Bill to climb the gap up just a little bit more. Of course, it is almost indeed doubled, but Vanden Heuning though has displaced Cedric Bill from that race result, I'm pretty sure, for let me see. I think they might be on equal points actually, if I'm not mistaken, because there's 18 points and 15 points. So actually they're on equal points. They both share the equal points. So I think they're joint 3rd now.
Yeah, and interestingly, on that final lap, it was a fast. I think it was the fastest middle sector there from single, trying to obviously hold on to that race lead. So he was definitely pushing on that final lap.
And Esteban Spingle will celebrate what has effectively been, and probably his eyes, and a lot of the viewers probably too, his hardest fought win in the Pro Series. Hungarian would be absolutely ecstatic for that, especially without much of his teammates around up to help him ahead. He's done everything he possibly can to get a well-deserved win ahead. Ruben van der Hooding on alternative strategies did everything to leave it down to the wire, but his tires gave up just way too soon. But he'll still be extremely happy with second. So effectively what the start of a qualifying they did for the race. Cedric Bill gets his first podium this season in the Pro Championship with Giuseppe Cazzaneri. It's his first time that he's outside of the podium with fourth, but still extremely close between these two. Amir Swazi over within fifth, so a good spot for the Tunisian for Cellspot Racing team. Nader Marsa in seventh, Olivier Demouliens in eighth, Samuel Todona in ninth, and Perseus Riemann completes over through the top 10. The sole driver outside from the top 10 that we had was Mihailo Vitsanevich, and we have our timers on the next page. As we mentioned before, Vitsanevich, the final one to go across the line into 11th. Juhal Soppinen retired from turn one collision. David Ayakin collision out for Cops. Eureka Touchville out from Village, I believe. Leila Petralia coming out for the third sector. And Jakob Baran, I believe, was also a Cops collision as well. But my goodness me, that was absolutely incredible. As we can have a look over through to the standings now, Ishmael Fingal has managed to keep it away from Giuseppe Cazzaneri for the time being. 17 points is the gap that Cazzaneri needs to try and find to equal for Ishmael Fingal. Cedric Bill and Ruben van der Hooding, as we mentioned, are on equal points. Both will share 64 apiece for P3 respectively, and then and the non-appearances of Winter and Van Leeuwen means that he is promoted up into fifth. Perseus Miram for an eighth with Nandor Marza gets himself up into ninth, so that will be David Ayakin also in 10th, so 1 point separates between Miram and Marza. That was absolutely a fun race, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, the way it was going, I could have commentated down that all night. It's a brilliant race to commentate on, and we're pretty much heading off towards Belgium at the end of the season, or the end of the month, sorry. So another interesting battle ahead there.
Indeed, as we mentioned before, it's going to start the second half of the season as we're going to reach the conclusion of our European travels here with Spa-Francorchamps, and then the rest of the season will continue on through to Singapore, the United States, and then over to Japan, and then following all coming down to the grand finale at Mexico. Until then, we have got more exciting race over. We've got the World Championship, which is going to start kick off in about a few hours time for everyone here tuning to the Pro. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tune over to the World Championship as we get to see another great intensive fight indeed, as River Michele still holds on to the championship lead. Again, as we mentioned before, Silverstone is the great momentum shifter, and after a long fantastic break, it's indeed been very incredible. Thank you very much to Ryan Ferris for commentating alongside with me. He's been absolutely fantastic today, and thank you very much as well to broadcast director Patrick Hanko as well. He's been absolutely phenomenal here at the broadcast. Thank you to all the drivers, and thank you to all the viewers for watching. I've been Amir Oates, and we'll see you next time.